Ladies and gentlemen, we've been tasked with the untaskable. So we've been asked to do one of the most difficult things of all time, rating every single Zelda game. Whether you played them or not, we're going to objectively rank them into the following tiers: D tier, C tier, B tier, A tier, S, and the creme de la creme, coup d'etat, double S tier. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Okay, let's get right into it. So I think we start with probably the most recent, and maybe we'll meet somewhere in the middle. So let's start with Breath of the Wild, right? So you can immediately right off the top say that it is definitely not a double S tier. It's not memorable. It doesn't do anything unique. It takes a format of a game, the open world Assassin's Creed style, and just doesn't really do anything. So I don't think it's a D tier. It's not a double S tier. It's not an S tier. Not an A tier. I'll give it a C. Like, it's like, hey, like, is it on the list of Zelda games you have to play? I would say no. Game & Watch 1989. If that's the one I think it is, where it's like black and white, I think it's definitely probably at the same tier of Breath of the Wild. I think that's where I would put it. Doesn't really do anything to move the gameplay forward, but it's a familiar character and you enjoy it. Game & Watch I put in the same tier, 1989. It's like the one games you could pick up like that. All right. Next up, let's talk about some of the ones that may be a little bit more avant-garde. Ancient Stone Tablets. We don't know a ton about it, so let's just be honest and we'll put it in unknown. We don't know what that is. I don't want to, for the Zelda aficionados out there, I don't want to, we're not looking to ruffle any rupees. Twilight Princess. Some put it in the same category as Breath of the Wild. Like, do you miss anything by not playing it? No. Is it bad? Probably not. So it's like, is it a must play? No. Put it in the C category. All right, let's go. Okay, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. This is how you rank them, right? Like, if you don't play it, are you missing out on something? Is it trying something new with the format, or is it just taking everything from what's popular? I feel like this is a game that, like, you got to try it. By missing out on it, by not trying it, you're missing out on it. I've definitely put that as a B tier. Next up, Twilight Princess HD. I think you put that right next to where it is. You don't miss anything by not playing it. Let's go with Triforce Heroes. I believe this came out on one of the handhelds. And look, they try to do something a little different. Would definitely put that above Breath of the Wild for sure. All right, next up, Four Swords Anniversary Edition. They're trying to do something different. That's definitely B tier. Oracle of the Seasons. Don't know what that is. Put that there. Four Swords 2002 Edition. That's good. Okay. Oracle of the Ages. That goes right there for sure. Sorry, I had a little something in my throat. I'm sorry. I had a little something in my throat. All right, next up. I mean, let's just get right to it. The Legend of Zelda NES 1987. I mean, there's only one place this can go. It's clearly one of the definitive editions of Zelda that you have to play. There's nothing else like it. If you don't play that, if you've never played The Legend of Zelda, you got to ask yourself, can you even tier list these games? Okay? That's really what you got to answer. You got to ask yourself that question. All right. Minish Cap. Based off the graphics and the title, put that in D tier, because is that like did that come out for Turbo Graphics or something? All right. BS, The Legend of Zelda, unknown. Let's go to Four Swords Adventures. It's a little bit better than Anniversary Edition, personally. Okay. Okay, let's get into the next one. Cadence of Hyrule. Okay. Cadence of Hyrule. You got to ask yourself a couple questions. Is it doing something different? Does it have memorable bops? Is it trying to do something a little bit different? And do you know anyone personally who plays an instrument in it? If so, I definitely would put that. It'd be tier. It'd be tier. Definitely be tier. Lynx Awakening Nintendo Switch. I haven't played it. It's very interesting. I haven't played it. So I'm just going to put this here. Although this is probably, if I had to guess, it's probably there. This is something I would consider playing for sure. So I don't want to disrespect that. But I think that's probably one of those two. Just throwing that out there. All right. But I want to keep it. You know what? This is, can we rename this? This say most likely minimum S tier. Okay. Not played yet. There we go. And let's make that, that's good. Okay. So that's more, most likely minimum S tier. Okay. All right, let's continue on. We got a lot to go through here. Phantom Hourglass. That's definitely, I don't even think that's real. It's probably DLC, so put that there on D tier. Link's Crossbow Training. I think that's, doesn't that teach kids how to type? We'll put that at C tier. My Picross Twilight Princess, definitely D tier. They were milking the Twilight Princess franchise with a Rob Ross painting series about it. Ocarina of Time. It's let's talk about it because the music just hit right. Ocarina of Time. Got to take you back. 1998. You got Mario 64 came out, pushed things a little forward. Then you have Ocarina of Time. You get it as a kid, you're excited to play it. The cartridge comes to you, it's not gold like The Legend of Zelda and The Adventure of Link. It's like a bronzish off color. You play it, and it's Friday night. TGIF's on. Family Matters, all that stuff. You're like, oh, I'm excited to play some Ocarina of Time, and you play it, and then you turn it off because you don't quite get it. It's a little boring. There's a lot of text, and you're like, people at school say it's really good, and then you're like, well, Ultima Online's better. I'd probably, I mean, realistically, I'd put it there. It's between a C and a D, but just for, I'll put it as the last one in the C tier for sure. Like, if you don't play it, you're not missing out on anything. Master Quest, same thing. You're not missing out. Yeah, it's rare, but no one's playing it. Okay. Wind Waker. This is another one that I actually got the system for this game alone. And you know, you're like, oh man, we get a chance to play Wind Waker. Well, that's HD. Where's the original? Wind Waker. Man, I'm really excited to play this. You know, like, this is how excited I'm going to play it. Let me show you. Was really excited. I'm like, okay, look. Ocarina of Time didn't fit the bill. I was just so like, okay, new system, new direction for Zelda. You're looking at it, you're like, hey, yo, Evil Wind is Rising. You get the new console, everything's in mint condition, like it's crispy. You get the game, and then you look at it, and you're like, wow, I played it one time because it was an absolute snooze. If I wanted to play pirate ships, I would have played Monkey Island, which is a great game. That would be S tier minimum. So I would put Wind Waker. And it hurts, but it's probably the first D tier. Probably the first D tier. And same with HD. They just re-cell shaded. Lynx Awakening on DX with a cameo by Mario right there. I probably would definitely put that as like a B tier. Skyward Sword, once again milking the franchise and not really moving anything forward. I put that in the D tier. Spirit Tracks DLC, anything that's DLC immediately goes D tier because it doesn't add to the game. It's just stuff that they got cut out. It wasn't supposed to be in the game in the first place. Hyrule Warriors, definitely B tier. I mean, there's a couple on here that's gonna be really hard to rank, you know. Hyrule Warrior Legends, that's DLC, that's D tier. Okay, we got a couple left. A Link Between Worlds. 2013. Is that 3DS? Is that the one where you go behind the walls? Is that that one where you go between the walls? Yeah, I would put that definitely above Ocarina of Time. But once again, a little snoozy. I'd probably put it as the first C tier. First C tier. It's like you got the 3DS for it. You got excited. You're looking forward to playing it on an airplane. You load it up and you fall asleep. That's the kind of game it is. All right. Four Swords is definitely better because you can play with four friends. So now we're getting to the meat and potatoes here. Link's Awakening. Was that the CDR game? Link's Awakening. That's the one that's pretty important. I don't see that one. That's the original Game Boy game. Yeah. So that's what, if the original Zelda was too hard for you, then you would play this. So I put that C tier. We're missing like a really good one. What was the CDI one called? That's the one we're missing. All right, so we're left with Ocarina of Time 3D. You know where that's going. I don't even know what is the difference between 3D and normal, right? Like, what is that? Can anyone even tell me what that is? What is Ocarina of Time 3D? The remake on the 3DS, unoriginality. Okay, Majora's Mask 3D unoriginality. Okay, so now we're down to the meat and potatoes here, right? We have Majora's Mask, The Adventure of Link, and A Link to the Past. Okay, so I think first and foremost, we get this off on the we're gonna get this off on the right foot. Okay, Adventure of Link, which was the second Zelda game, so Zelda 2, came out in the same shimmering gold container. Pushed something forward. It had different music, and it was pretty special, you know. And you're like, well, what did the music sound like? Well, look, I could play 3 notes of it and you would know exactly what song that is. So just for example, like, just close your eyes, imagine a time where like the Zelda games were like gold, you know, like they came out in actual gold cartridges, and then you got it for Christmas, man. You were so excited, and this is what you heard when you loaded it up. Not that one. Dunkity dunk. I mean, The Adventure of Link. Look, a lot of people say you can't put a side-scrolling Zelda at the tippy-top S tier. But you gotta remember, before I put this where it needs to go, this was it. The Legend of Zelda was it. And they're like, do we crank out a similar sequel like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, or do we try something a little different? And they tried something a little different. And it hit a little different too, ladies and gentlemen. So you're left with with 2 more. You're left with 2 more. You got Majora's Mask and A Link to the Past. Majora's Mask. You gotta ask yourself, is it basically just a reskinned Ocarina of Time? And how you answer that question, and you say, yeah, well, there's a night-day cycle, and there's a moon in it. That really depends on whether it falls in the C or D tier. Where I feel like at least Ocarina of Time has a chance that one day it'll be played. Majora's Mask will never be played. We're left with A Link to the Past. The SNES Classic. They return to form. That's just placeholder right now. They return to form. And you're like, hey, I know we took a right-hand turn on Zelda 2. But SNES version, A Link to the Past. You have to ask yourself, where does it fall? It's 1 billion%. It's definitely way better than anything in the D tier. Does it slaughter Breath of the Wild? Without any weapons, it slaughters it. Does it put Ocarina of Time? Does it put the music in Ocarina of Time? Which, I will say, the music in Ocarina of Time prevents it from going into D tier. So the real question is, of the triple S tier, there's 3 in the double S tier. Everything else has just been trying to chase that. They've been trying to recreate it. Look, I didn't want to have to do this. But how do you rate the top 3 of all time? That's the question. That's a tough one. We could rate items in a game or something, and it doesn't matter. This matters. So you have the original, The Legend of Zelda. It's really good. Is it one that you play over multiple times in your lifetime? Maybe. So I think we go head to head. Is The Legend of Zelda better than A Link to the Past? It's really good, but does it hold up to A Link to the Past? If you had to pick one of these two, which one are you playing? Probably playing A Link to the Past. So I think because of that, that gets the bronze. Now, the real question is, A Link to the Past versus The Adventure of Link. The only title that features the main character. You hear that, and you're like, is The Adventure of Link the number 2 Zelda game of all time, or is it number 1? And you're like, you think about the different things. There's Mirror. It's the only Zelda with a magic meter. Red Knight, armored individuals. And then you think of A Link to the Past. It definitely stands on the shoulders of giants. But you gotta ask yourself, if you're gonna play only one Zelda game that encompasses what the series is all about, pageantry, change-ups, new game mechanics, take nostalgia out of it. You start to remember some of the classics. None of this has anything to do with nostalgia. I mean, you can like feel that. You feel it. So I think because of that, ladies and gentlemen, the definitive list of all Zelda games ranked, ladies and gentlemen. In first place, Zelda 2, 1988 classic. In second place, A Link to the Past, the SNES standing on the shoulders of the original giant. If you agree with this list, why in chat? I'm gonna save this. How do we save it? The definitive list of objectively ranked Zelda games for those who care about the franchise deeply. Donkey. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the Zelda ranking. If you disagree with it, feel free to put a message in the suggestion box. But I will leave you with this. I leave you with perfection. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't get this kind of action in the snooze arena of time. Thank you guys. Look at this. You got magic, you got life. It's just a little bit different. Just hits a little different. Want to catch up on the Dan Gheesling Show because you can't catch it live on Twitch? Then go to youtube.com/DanGheeslingPlays. There you'll find every single one of our live shows cut up in an easily digestible episode for your viewing pleasure. Episodes are up within a couple days of the show, so you're never too far behind if you want to catch up and watch live. That's youtube.com/DanGheeslingPlays to watch anything you might have missed on Twitch.